And as you sit with gratitude and let it permeate, what does it do to your body? How does it feel when you let your heart swell just a little bit in gratitude for those that you are thankful for in your life? And the ones that are coming in, can you offer something out? Can you offer a little nugget of your love and send that gratitude outward like a ripple? And in these times when we start to feel isolated, when we start to feel stressed, whether it's from the pandemic or political things or anything, if you are feeling a sense of disconnect in any way, remember always to find these ties, to hold on to the people that you are grateful for in your life, to feel the strands that touch you, that connect you. And let this connection be a balm, something to support you, to hold you when the going gets rough, when you feel alone, when you feel isolated, when you feel worried. The connections we all share are stronger than our fears. So come into the body, allow yourself to ground. Feel a sense of dropping down into the lower parts of you. Feel your legs get a little heavier, your pelvis. And allow that yielding to give you a sense of strength, that it's not the kind of like grit and bear it kind of strength, but a grounding strength that you can hold steadfast. And then from that grounded place, rise through your spine and feel your breath expand, become light like the breath. Observe and feel the breath moving through you. See what it might feel like to slow the breath down enough. Let all the beautiful oxygen carbon dioxide exchange that is such a wonder. Just let it happen. Can you feel bathed in your breath? Can your eyes melt? Is there softness somewhere? And just feel just a little bit of heart opening. Lift the heart, like there's just a slight lift up toward the heavens. Not enough where you're puffing out your chest or feeling weird sensations in your rib cage, but just enough to feel that you can open, that you can be expansive. And lift the shoulders just the teeniest bit toward your ears and then roll them back and place them back on the shelf and just see what it feels like to have that sense of integrity where your shoulder blades and your ribs can touch each other, meet each other. The back body supports the openness of the chest without pushing and tensing the rib cage in the back. And then take a 360 breath. And then bring your palms together. And as you bow in to create an intention, try not to lose the open heart, but lift toward your thumbs. You don't have to press, you don't have to push or restrain the back body. Just feel open and offer an intention. What can your practice, a gentle, soft yoga practice, give you today? And then let's release the hands and let's come onto your back. All right, so as you come out of seated posture, lie down. Feel yourself spread out. Get your limbs to expand. Open yourself up. Maybe wiggle through your fingers and toes. Know that you have edges of your body. And then stretch your arms overhead and feel the whole side edge of your body. So stretch the left side, stretch the right side. Connect into the borders of your physical self on your sides. Can you feel from your heel to your finger stretch? And then the opposite side, heel to finger. And of course, if you have some shoulder issues that don't allow you to have your arms comfortably overhead, you can have this sensation with your arm anywhere. All right, and then bring your knees into your chest. And if your knees don't flex super well, you can always hold behind the knees as well on the bottom side of your hamstrings. So decide what feels best for you. And let's just take a moment to rock. Feel the back body. Oftentimes we just kind of forget we have a back body out there. So just feel what it feels like to rock on the floor. I'm going to work a little bit with yielding today. So just notice what that yielding feels like as you drop your body down. Thing of mindfulness for you. So take a deep breath. And let's go ahead and open the knees up and bring the knees back together. Okay, so a couple of times, feeling the movement of the hip joints. How are your hips today? Do you have any, catches or little clicks? Is there any pain? Do you have good range of motion on both sides or a little restricted on one? All right, and then let's come into happy baby pose. I know this is a big stretch for your back this early, so be very gentle. You can hold your feet, you can rock, you can hold behind your knees. Just let the back of your lumbar spine gently move into the floor. A teeny bit of rounding here. And then go ahead and put your feet on the floor, feet hip width apart. Have a couple of pelvic tilts here, just kind of exploring the idea of a cat-cow before we turn it into a full body pose. So arching the back a little bit, anterior tilting the pelvis, exhaling and rounding the pelvis, sit bones moving toward each other. Just warming up the movement of the low back a little bit. And then let's turn this into a big old starfish. Just spread your limbs out, hands and feet extending, wiggle those toes, exhale, knees into your chest, chin up, modify anything you need to. Inhale and open big and wide. Exhale again. One more time. Expand your body. Stretch your limbs out. Exhale. Drop things in. All right, let's put our feet down onto the ground and windshield wiper your knees, just warming up the back in this way, kind of going side to side and noticing where your range of motion lives. So protect anything that needs protecting. If twisting is hard for your back, don't go very far. All right, and then let's roll over onto our side and come up onto our hands and our knees. So as you come onto all fours, start moving through some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine. So a familiar movement. We've already done some of this. Let's just see what it feels like now to be in a different plane as you feel the spine move. Spread open your collarbones, touch your teeth, lift your chin, exhale and round the spine, drop your head, move with breath. All right, and then go ahead and feel some movement through your spine in any direction you want to move. So forget just moving in the plane of flexion and extension. Move any way you want. And remember that you have lots of body parts that connect to your spine. You have a skull that connects to your spine. You've got ribs that connect to your spine. You have a pelvis that connects onto your sacrum. So just feel all these connection points and let's marvel and have gratitude for the complex movements our spine is able to accomplish, how much movement we have through the day because of our capacities. All right, let's turn this into dog pose. Lengthen upward, feel your feet. And now if dog pose is not available for any reason, if your wrists aren't happy, your shoulders, you can always take half dog with your hands against a piece of furniture or a wall. You can have one-armed half dog pose if one shoulder is not happy. There's lots of ways to modify everything. So take whatever variation you need for you. Feet are hip width apart if you're in dog pose, and just have a moment of pedaling. See what it feels like to open the back line of the body. Bend one knee, let the other calf stretch. Feel the Achilles tendon open up. Feel your feet. One of the ways that we most easily connect with the yielding forces of the body is through our feet. So let's open them up. See what it feels like to spread the bones.
How's your breath? Can you reach the heart up toward the pelvis? Try bending your knees as much as you want so the spine can have lots of room, lots of space. Relax your head. And then come back down onto all fours. Take child's pose, maybe arms overhead, maybe arms down at your side. If child pose doesn't work for you, perhaps put a bolster behind your knees. Perhaps just walk your hands further forward so you're supported in whatever flexion your hips and knees can provide for you today. Walk the hands over to the left side of the mat and open that side rim of the body again. Feel the length through your right side. Open it up. Breathe here. Relax your head. Soften the base of the skull. Okay. Then come back to center and find your way over to the other side. There's another ding of mindfulness. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I assume you can. So just every time you hear it, feel that sense of where am I? I'm here. I'm right now. I'm in this breath. Relax the base of the skull. And then come back to center and come up onto all fours. Have a moment to just swirl around the spine before we have a big giant twist. Bring your right arm in front of you, lift it up in the air, and then exhale and slide that shoulder down. So feel the twisting in the body. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Take any tension away from your neck by maybe gazing toward the floor. Notice if your hips shift off to the left, take your thigh bones back. Take a breath into the back of the body. And then inhale and lift that arm all the way back up to the sky, hand down onto the ground. Change sides. Lift the left arm either in front of you or up in the air, and then exhale and take that arm under. Enjoy the simple act of just awakening the body, stretching a bit, feeling different places open up. What does it feel like between your shoulder blades, those rhomboid muscles? Can you breathe there? Can you open there? Can you enjoy that part of your body? And then reach that arm to the sky, place the hand down onto the ground, and come onto all fours. So if you're not comfortable on all fours, remember you can always have forearms on blocks or fists on the ground, whatever is going to give you that sense of ease across your wrist joints, elbow joints. And let's take a moment to just yield. So if you're not familiar with yielding, it's this kind of balance point between collapsing into the floor and trying to prop yourself away from the earth. So experience both for a moment. Collapse. Feel your hands, your shoulder blades sink toward each other, the shoulder joints fall. And just see what it feels like to collapse into the earth with your hands, even your knees too. And then do just the opposite. Push your shins away, push your hands away. See what it feels like to try to deny the earth, to push off the earth. And then see if you can find something right in between where we have the capacity to yield in our hands, to feel ourselves sink just a little bit, but rebound with some energy of bringing the earth through our body. What does it feel like to you to do this? So explore that deep inner sensation of yielding. Yielding and breath are two bedmates. They live with each other. So make sure that your breath is coming as you try to find this experience of yielding into the earth. I know we're on all fours for a while, so adjust anything. And now we're going to just take it back between one limb at a time. So yield into the right arm, and then gently push off to yield into the right knee, and then yielding into the left knee, yielding into the left hand, and just kind of go through a little circle and notice what it feels like to both sink and respond, to have that root to rise. That's one of those yoga phrases when we used to do yoga in yoga studios that you'd hear a lot, and yoga teachers say, root to rise. This is the root to rise. This is that ability to feel the earth and rebound from the earth, and to have that exchange. Now go the other direction. Spin your circle the other way as you feel each limb move itself into the earth and rebound to move into another limb and rebound. Okay. When we slow down enough like this to really feel the subtleties, we gain a lot of capacity for interoception, for being able to feel the inner workings of the body. How is your breath? Remember, breath and yielding go hand in hand. And then dog pose again when you are ready. Stretch out your hands, stretch out your feet. Feel the heart lift toward the pelvis. Now, what can you do here to yield? Can you feel your forelimbs? Feel the earth and rebound from the earth. Can you feel that you have a relationship with the earth instead of just you're placing your hands down on something hard? Feel that give, feel the take. Breathe. And then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Bend your knees. Feel free to wag your tail, roll around in your shoulders, move your neck around, and rise all the way up. Find your breath. Okay. Come into Tadasana. And now let's just have a moment of feeling that yielding. So take your time here. Feel the yielding through your feet. So if we lock out our knees, so lock out your knees for a moment. If we push our pelvis forward or lean into one hip or lock our knees, we lose our relationship with the earth just a little bit. So soften the knees, feel the soles of the feet, reach into the earth and rebound up through your spine. Can you breathe into the earth and let the earth breathe into you? Just have this moment, even though, you might be itching, like, no, I just want to do some postures, please. Pause and let yourself slow down enough to feel this relationship. When you get stressed, when things get difficult, this is just another one of your tools, besides many others that our yoga practice gives us, to bring yourself into this moment, to bring yourself into your body, to bring yourself into grounding, into relationship with a supportive force, the earth below you. Okay. All right, now we're going to take our feet a little wider, so maybe not quite as wide as like warrior pose, but just wider than hip width apart. And we're just going to sink into one knee. I know this feels maybe a little like, when are we going to get going in our yoga practice? This is your yoga practice. So allow yourself to sink into one foot and rebound, finding that same sense of yielding. So instead of just a push pull and bounce, feeling like you're bouncing off the earth, can you sink like you're sinking in sand and rebound out? And what does it feel like to transfer weight through your pelvis, to feel it rise up through your knee into your pelvis and transfer to the other side? We're going to work with this a little bit in our standing poses, so practice it now before we go into deeper postures. And you can move slow or fast, however feels good to you. And then 2 feet. So now we're in a little bit of a wide squat. So not maybe like goddess pose legs if that's what's comfortable for you. And you don't have to go super deep. So it doesn't have to be like I'm going deep into a squat now. Just let yourself be bendy enough to be soft enough where you can drop into the earth and lower your center of gravity. So feel that center of gravity into your belly and breathe there. Breathe into the pelvis, breathe into the low belly. You can create a mudra with your hands that might help you center low in the body. And now while we're here, building a little heat in our legs, rediscover your breath. So know that yielding and breath come together. What does it feel like to untether the diaphragm, to loosen the puppet strings so that the diaphragm can drop down and move? Can you let go of tension in your belly enough to receive the inhale? And then feel free to move around. You can yield from one side to the other. You can move your arms into a different position. What's going to give you that sense of taking up a lot of room, a lot of space, giving yourself grounding, feeling your breath travel. All right, and then rise up, starfish open, stretch out your limbs. Can you connect your navel to your edges and reach out? Let yourself grow, not in just the taking up of space, but your connection, your ability to perceive, maybe come back to those people that you're feeling gratitude for and reach out. Let your limbs reach out, touching them a little bit, holding them a little bit. Okay, and then turn your feet forward, take your feet wider apart and come down into Pasrita. So hands can come onto blocks or the floor. Relax your head down. finding the breath. Decide how you want to be. You can have dog pose arms here. You can have hands much closer in. Feel this, the hamstring stretch open a little bit. Are you able to yield here? Can you feel the sense of moving into the earth with your feet, rebounding through your legs? Let it move through your spine. And then we're going to come all the way over to the right leg. If your knee doesn't bend super well, it's okay. Just go wherever your body can and see what it feels like to open up the hamstrings on the left leg. Find your breath. Hands can be on floor or block, wherever you go. Feeling the inner thigh and the hamstring stretch. Flex your foot. And then let's transfer our weight over to the other side. And like I said, if your knees don't bend well, if there's something going on, you can put your hands up on support of chairs, of blocks, anything to allow yourself to feel this stretch in the inner thigh. Make sure you're not just getting it in your knee. Find your breath. And then come back up onto some goddess legs. Turn your toes out. And we're going to bend here. And now you get to do whatever you want with your arms as you sway over. Maybe your body stretches. See what it feels like to transfer weight from one foot to the other. So what does it feel like? So, you can do anything you want with your upper body here. You can be very still with your upper body if you want. But just transfer weight in the deep squat. So stay low, so that you're feeling, some muscular energy here for sure. Feel the weight of your feet. And what does it feel like to move into the earth and rebound to the other side? How is your breath? All right, and then pause in the starfish up top. And bring your hands back to the front of your mat. Step back, dog pose. Deep breaths here. Yield into the earth. Give yourself over. Hands and feet, wherever you're touching the earth, can yield. Take a breath in. Come forward into a plank. If you need to put your knees down to support yourself better, put your knees down. So if your shoulders are unhappy, wrists, elbows, you can always put your knees onto the floor like I'm doing here. And then let's find our way down onto the ground. So come onto your belly. If you're unhappy on your belly, you can always just do a cat-cow to find a little back bend in your spine. If you're okay on your belly, take your hands close toward your nipples and take a deep breath in. Open your chest, cobra pose. Doesn't have to be big. Exhale and melt back down. Can you yield? Yield your thighs. Yield your pelvis, your chest, your hands. Give yourself to the earth, and then push off and rebound away. Up you go. Exhale and come back down. Come onto all fours. Swirl that pose around. Any movement in your spine that feels nice. And we're going to bring our right foot forward into a lunge. Keep your back knee down on the ground unless your knee is bothersome on the floor, in which case you can curl your toe under and come into a lunge. Lift up through your spine. Find the opening of your hip flexors here. Can you yield your front foot down into the earth a little bit more? And then place your hands down onto the ground. Curl your back toe under, and we're going to come all the way up now to a lunge. Have your hands on your hips just for a moment. Open the chest. Notice, can you feel the difference between collapsing and yielding? Okay, so often when we collapse in a pose like this, where I feel collapse is right in my lumbar spine. It can just sink, right? But when I'm yielding, when I'm pushing my feet, when I'm sinking my feet, I can find a rebound up through my spine. So let the feet give to the crown. Bring your arms up or out or anywhere that's supportive to your shoulders. Drop the shoulder blades. Feel the openness. Breathe here. And then let's walk our back foot forward. Come into Uttanasana again. Fold. Halfway lift. Sit bones lift and rise. Exhale and melt back down again. Step your other foot back. So now our left foot is forward. Our right knee comes down onto the floor. You can uncurl your toes or curl your toes. What feels better for your body?
Okay, so come on up to a lunge. Back knee on the floor just for a moment. Just feel the hip flexors open. Feel the stretch and notice if you collapse, if you sink into the floor without a rebound, where in your body collapses. For me, it's my lumbar spine. For some people, it might be their rib cage or their shoulders or right in their pubic symphysis. There's so many ways that you could just fall. Okay, so instead of falling, instead of collapsing, yield, give you where you're touching the floor over to the earth and then rebound out. So it's a push pull, it's a sink and lift. Feel the moving through your crown. And then place your hands back down onto the ground, knee up off the floor and rise up, bringing your arms wherever is satisfying to your breath and to your shoulders. So, if you, especially, I know at least one of you is dealing with a shoulder issue. So, if you need to, there's so many ways to modify to have some different movement patterns that support your breath, that support healthy function in your body. Try not to push the ribs out. So just like in the beginning when we were opening our heart, try not to push the back body into the front body to open the heart. Yield into the back of your body. Yield into the earth. All right, and then hands down, walk your back foot forward one more time. Fold, bend your knees as much as you want. Halfway lift. And then exhale and melt again. Rise up, reaching your arms to the sky or not, depending on your body. And then come back into Tadasana. So feel your yielding now. Come into your breath. Okay, and just like we were doing before, now we're going to keep our feet hip width apart and yield into our left foot. And then yield into our right foot. We're preparing for a little teeny bit of balance work. So just feel what it feels like to give one foot over and to rebound and transfer that weight into the other side. All right. And then settle into your right leg. We're going to come into tree pose. You can always hold on to a wall or a piece of furniture. And you can always have your toes can be on the floor still. So you can turn your knee out and have your toes still on the ground or your foot very low on your shin. It does not have to be high. Try not to let your heel be at your knee. Wherever you end up, I'll be here low so you can sense that you can go anywhere you want. Open that knee and then find your way into the posture. Open your arms up. Maybe your arms come out to the side. Okay, so just discover where you want to be in space. Now, do you lock out? So let's try not to push the hip out or forward. Let's try not to lock the knee back. Unwind your joints so that your femur bone, the top of your femur bone is moving back. Your knee is soft. Your hip is in. And find your yielding. So the foot yields, the breath yields with it. And then you rebound through your spine. Bring your arms anywhere you want them to be. As your knee tries to draw back, keep the rib cage facing forward. Relax your traps. Stay in your breath. Okay, and then let's unwind. Take that foot down onto the ground and have a moment before the other side where we transfer again, sinking our weight into one side, sinking our weight into another side. So, it may seem silly, or even boring. I don't find it boring, but you might. This is a great thing to do if you're just standing at the kitchen counter. You can, if you tend to lean into one hip, and this is your stance where you kind of hang out in one hip. This is a great way if you're not sure how to support yourself, be self-supporting when you're standing. If you struggle with that, like if you're talking to somebody and you just want to lean against something, try leaning into the earth. Try transferring your weight just gently from one foot to another. There's a reason why, think about rocking a baby, right? So we want that sense of just transferring weight into the earth and back. All right, let's stand into our left foot. Open up the right leg out now. So your foot can be high, your foot can be low, your toes can be still on the earth. The most important thing is to not let your joints lock out. So keep that hip in, keep the thigh bone back, and soften your knee. Spread out your foot and feel the yielding. Breath is necessary. If you try to hold your breath to stay locked in balance, this is not conducive to the type of balance we want to develop. So as we develop balance capacity, it's all about being able to react moment by moment and find your balance. So if you are holding your breath and trying to turn to stone, that stone does not react very well, right? We want to be pliable, mobile. Let the breath help you. Let the yielding help you be in this mobile state. Reach your arms anywhere that feels nice. Can you root to rise? What does it feel like to root into the earth, grow your trees, limbs down, 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 and then rise up and lift your limbs up? Okay? Find that through your body. How's your breath? All right, let's go ahead and release that leg down onto the ground. Inhale, arms up to the sky, and exhale, fold forward. Relax your back, soften your skull. Inhale for a halfway lift, the legs straighten. Exhale and melt back down. Let's step our left foot back, our right foot is forward. Come into a lunge, come on up, and then we're gonna turn and open up to the side, okay? So let's find Parsvakonasana. So as you find your way open, you're going to bend the knee, place your elbow on your knee, or you can put your hand on a block on the inside or outside edge of your calf, whatever works for you, whatever position is helpful. Now, a lot of times when we go into these standing poses, we just lean into our front leg. We get all paying attention to our front leg, and then the back leg's just kind of hanging out there somewhere. So feel the roots of your back leg. Root your heel into the earth. See what it feels like to take the top of your thigh bone back instead of just pushing it forward. Open up that front knee. Feel both feet yield now. Maybe your arm comes up overhead. Maybe that's too much for your shoulder and you want your arm out to the side or down. So find what works. Once you're here, can you root to rise? Can you feel the yielding of both feet and the rising through your crown? What does it feel like to have both feet yielding simultaneously? And then maybe you want to transfer. No, let's not. Let's just stay even. See if you can feel the balance between your two legs, yielding evenly. All right, and then go ahead and come on up. Let's do the same pose to the second side. So let's find our way. Warming up our hips in a standing pose like this. So come into Parsvakonasana. You can put your hand on a block or your elbow on your knee. Especially if your elbow's on your knee, try really hard to not internally rotate the shoulder. Feel some openness, so maybe your palm can be open. Drop your shoulders away from the ears. Try not to overarch the top ribs and collapse the bottom. Feel the evenness through your two sides. Yield your feet. Sink the 4 points of both feet deep down and then rebound. Push off a little bit. Feel the energy come from the feet all the way through to the crown. Lift your arm overhead if it's a happy place for it to be. Put your arm somewhere else if it's not a happy place to be. That back leg, do you lose it sometimes? Do we lose connection? See what it feels like to take the top of the thigh bone back, soften the knee joint, and yield into the earth. What would it feel like to bend that knee a lot and then yield more as you straighten it? Balance between the two sides. Can you have even effort in your two legs? All right, let's go ahead and come on out of the pose. Turn your feet forward for a moment. Come back to that neutral, two legs balanced. Okay. Then we're going to turn our toes out a little bit. And as we find that rebound one more time, kind of bouncing into one and then yielding into the other, we're lifting off, yielding into the other, lifting off. Just notice what it feels like to keep the center of gravity low.
And we're going to turn this into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, right foot coming forward. Find your breath. Deep inhale, and as you come into Virabhadrasana 2, remember your pose can be all the way up here. Your knee can bend to whatever place your knee is comfortable with. So if your joints start talking to you, remember there's always ways to support. You can take a block and put it against a piece of furniture or a wall. Ooh, it's right in the sun, so I don't know if you can see that. I have a block at my shin, and this helps to support this knee joint. So if you have some vulnerable knees that don't like lunging, you can get into the work of the pelvis by supporting with a block against a piece of furniture. You know, this doesn't take the work away, it brings the work in. So if you can't hold yourself in a deep lunge and you end up here without pain, but you want to work into the hips a little bit more, this is a great way to access that. And now, no matter what you're doing, see if you can find that sense of being able to transfer through the pelvis. Maybe bend the back knee a little bit, and as you push off your back foot, yield into the front, and then push off your front foot and yield into the back. Play, experiment, explore in your body what it feels like to have your 2 feet yielding. And then 2 feet simultaneously. Reach them into the earth, rebound through your crown. Okay, and then come on up, rest for a moment. Turn your feet straight, and we're going to do the same pose with the second side. So remember, you can always take a piece of furniture to support a knee. This can help you get deeper into a posture if you're not able to get there yourself because of joint issues. Learning to be self-supporting is really good. This is what this yielding is all about. But sometimes we need help to get there. Blocks are not a crutch. They're a support to help us. Okay? So if you need something, take something. And otherwise, be where you are. So who says you have to be really deep? You can very much be very deep. But a lot of times when we go super deep, we push this back hip forward. We collapse into our lumbar spine. So try to not compromise the integrity of your spaciousness and breath because you want depth. Depth is the least important piece of a posture. Drop some weight into your feet. Maybe find that yielding, rebounding from one foot to the other. Can you feel the connection of 2 feet yielding down? Try to unlock joints. The top hip moves back, the knee softens. Feel the lumbar spine have space instead of sinking. Let that rebound go through your crown. Maybe relax your elbows, your wrists, your shoulders, your jaw. And then let's go ahead and come back out. Turn your feet to the long edge one more time. Maybe blocks, maybe not. Come into a wide-legged stance here. Relax your head. Soften toward the floor. Maybe your head's supported. Maybe your hands are supported. Whatever feels nice. Okay, we're going to turn back to the front of your mat. So walk your hands and feet back to the full mat. And extend into dog pose. Can you yield your hands and your feet? Can you rebound through the length of your spine? Connect your breath to your movements. All right, come forward into a plank. Decide, maybe you want your knees down to support you. Maybe your knees are up. Whatever you're doing, you are breathing. And then lower yourself down to the ground. Any variation of a back bend that feels nice in your body. So explore. And then exhale and melt. Turn your head one way or the other. Feel your body prone on the ground. If this is not comfortable, make a different choice. Okay, you can come up onto all fours if you want. If you're not happy on your belly, you can pick up your feet and rock left and right. Sometimes that's a little more soothing for your back. Whatever you're doing as you breathe, can you feel your whole front body yield into the earth? Give yourself over to the earth. And then come on up onto all fours you go. Have a moment of just maybe turning from side to side or circling through your pelvis before coming back to child's pose. Anterior tilt the pelvis so you're rooting deeply with your femur bones back. Put your arms where you want them to be. Find the breath in. Find the breath out. We're going to come into pigeon pose with your right leg forward. If you can't do pigeon pose, you can do reverse pigeon pose. So you can always flip over onto your back and put your right foot on top of your left knee. If you're doing pigeon pose, you can support yourself with blankets, blocks, however you need support. Your right leg is coming forward, your left leg is coming back. So as we find pigeon pose, this is a great hip stretch, obviously, but it can be very difficult for one's knees. So if you can't stack up enough support underneath your pelvis to feel at ease in your joints, flip over onto your back. Extend the spine and come on down. I always like to support my head with a block, or maybe you need more than one block, so just see where you're at. Square hips, internally rotate your back thigh, widen your sit bones, and then what can you yield? What can do you find yourself pulling away from the earth because it's difficult, to release into the stretch? Do you have resistance? Let your yielding practice help you here. Can you give something to the earth without collapse? Is there length to be had in your spine? Is there some awareness to be had in the pelvis of integrity, stability? But can you also simultaneously let go fully into the stretch? Discover your breath. Let's find our way, come out of there, swing that leg around for a moment or come back into dog pose, however you like to transition out of pigeon pose. And as we move to the second side, you might need something very different on this side, maybe different props. I have a blanket underneath my thigh and hip. Maybe you need more than that, maybe you need less. Maybe you want to go into reverse pigeon pose and flip over onto your back and put your left foot on your right knee. Okay, so however you're coming into this left side, if you come into the pose and you end up looking like this, where it's impossible to turn this back hip all the way square to the floor, this is a good indicator that you need more props underneath your left sit bone, maybe underneath your right thigh, or to just flip right over onto your back. So support yourself well where the pelvis is square, the sit bones can widen, your knee is in a happy place. Your heel can be close to your pubic bone, or you can start to pull that heel away, out a bit, away from the pubic bone to find different angles of stretch for your hip. As you come down, it's very easy to collapse and kind of sink the chest. Extend the spine, relax the shoulders, and melt through your hips as best as you can. When you find this pose, supporting your head on a block can give you a sense of yielding of your skull. You can yield your forearms, you can yield your legs, you can yield your pelvis. So find the places that you're close to the earth and give yourself to the earth, and then rebound through the length of your spine. And you feel a little energy to widen the sit bones, to internally rotate that back leg, to feel integrity through your front foot. Breathe, relax your shoulders.
go ahead and find our way out of here, however you like to get out of the pose. Okay. We're going to come onto our back now. So lie down on your back. Bring your knees to your chest. And rock around a little bit. Feel that back body again like we did in the very beginning. Take some deep breaths. Try circling the knees a couple of times. Release any tension through your hips that you might have felt from that pigeon pose. And then put your feet onto the ground. Hip width apart. Lift up your hips. Scooch your hips to the right. Come onto your left hip just a little bit. Knees come up and drop left. If you can't reach the floor, you can always put a block underneath your left shin. Take a deep breath. Turn your head to the right. Find your breathing body. Where can you yield now? Is there a part of your limbs that are touching the earth that you can sink in? Even here, can you find the difference between collapse and yielding? Let's come on up. Bring your knees to your chest or just feet on the floor, whichever feels good. And then we're scooting to the other side. So bring your hips over left, knees up, drop them right. Open up your chest, turn your head, and look out to the left. Breathing well. And then inhale and relax. Put your feet onto the ground. Stretch your limbs out for a moment. Just feel your body. We're going to do a restorative pose in just a moment, but just have a moment of letting your body rest. Let your whole body yield into the earth. All right, and then let's go ahead and find a restorative posture. So you might want to do leg up the wall pose, where you bring your body to a wall and just bring your legs up the wall, or up on a couch. You can put your calves up on a couch or a chair. Maybe you'd like to do Supta Baddha Konasana, where you lie either on bolsters or blankets to elevate your back, and you have support underneath each thigh as you butterfly your knees open, soles of the feet together. It's hard to know if I don't know what kind of props you all have at your house, so just find whatever is supportive to you. So those would be probably people's top two choices: is Supta Baddha Konasana and Viparita Karani, leg up the wall pose. Another one is heart bench, where you could take one block on the middle height and one block on the low height, either long ways or horizontal to the spine, vertical or horizontal to the spine. And you can rest your vertebrae on the one block and your head on the other. You can do Supta Baddha Konasana legs while you're in heart bench. There's lots of choices. The most important thing as you get settled into whatever you're choosing is to know that this is a practice in yielding, that of course it's restorative and really soothing to the nervous system to have presence in a restorative pose, to have breath in a restorative pose, but we're also working with this concept of giving yourself to the earth, feeling supported by the earth. So allow yourself to close your eyes if you can, melt, come into that state of deep surrender and softness, letting the eyes rest, feeling the jaw release. Let your limbs be super soft. Once you feel that deep art of yielding come, is there a way for you to stay present with the breath as much as you can? Can you stay feeling what it feels like to yield and breathe. Whenever you're ready, you can transition to Shavasana. So this pose, you can stay right where you are, and you can change anything you want to. Shavasana is a gift. Let's receive it. The most important thing you can do is breathe and yield. If we learn this art of breathing and yielding, it's a gift. It's a gift during calm moments to deeply restore, and it's a gift during stressful moments to ground and stabilize. So practice the art of deep, slow breathing. Practice the art of yielding. begin to deepen our breathing again. Start to move your limbs, or maybe you roll around your fingers or your wrists, your toes, your ankles. Maybe turn your head from side to side. Eventually find some bigger movements so you can bring yourself onto your side. And come up to sit when you're ready. Bring your palms together. And let's connect with each other. And open your heart again to the people that you are grateful for, that you were thinking of earlier in class. Maybe dedicate your efforts, your practice to them or him or her, or any person that you're thinking of, anywhere. It doesn't have to be the one you're grateful for. Anyone you want to open your heart and send some energy to, just feel that. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.